All that. All right, the path of this team have to go through Ezekiel Elliott. We all understand what Travis Frederick is going through. It's one of those things where we have to pray and pull together for this thing to happen. But before I go any further, condolences out to my guy Mark Holmes. His page, he got hit with the YouTube takedown, and we really got to pull together because this is family. And somehow, some way, if you're close by Mark, reach out to him, let him know that to keep his head. You know, when you're up against the struggles, meet it squarely face to face, lift your chin, set your shoulders, plant your feet, and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fall, you may conquer, see it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim, but don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim, guys. And that's what Mark got to do. He got to continue to fight. We understand that we are the smaller piece of this YouTube puzzle. We are the smaller deal of the 4-letter network. We up against them. We up against NFL Network. We up against so many things, so many oppositions. But we still have to stay focused. Still have to stay strong and support the channel. Support those who are out there, because this is not an easy job. A lot of people think that they can do this, but they get behind the mic and they're silent. They can't get 2 words out. And we come live like 95 every day. Shout out to you, Jamal Anderson. Thank you for tuning in. Also, those who on the chat box, who this Dayan, Mike Mardo, Andrew Castillo, thank you for tuning in too as well. It's always a pleasure. It's always a plus of you guys tuning in to the show, because it's not hard. This is not an easy show to do each and every day. Especially shout out to you, Kerry. I see you over there holding it down over there on the Facebook panel. We're live on Law Nations. Don't forget about the podcast. That's LAW Nations podcast, and as well as the Phantom EBSN online. Shout out to you guys. Silver and Blue Nation. Everybody must know that if you cut us, we bleed silver and blue. Shout out to Silver and Blue Nations, and also my guy, Big Game James. You cannot say game or James without saying Big Game and putting that James in the mix, because he always bring the thunder. And as well as the D Dallas prospect, every legend, I'm talking about every legend, was once a prospect. So we all had to start off from somewhere, and sometimes we got to build your tools. You got to build everything back up with 1 or 2s. You know how I say that all the times, that if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, right? So we're going to get back to football. We're going to talk about the Travis Frederick. Mark's, I think I call him Stink, Slayer, if I'm murdering the man's name. But he had the same type of conditions that Travis had. And he did an interview with 105.3 The Fan. I think their show called KC and Masterpiece. We're going to play some of their insights of what they talked to him about during this interview. Remember, this is just us going over what they're saying. So we're going to hit play and we're going to see what they're talking about. But everything, and I'm going to elaborate, everything goes through this offense through Ezekiel Elliott. Now, Travis Frederick is the glue. I'm telling everybody, I told everybody before that the center is the second hardest position to learn in the NFL. Trust me, the center is the second hardest position in the NFL to learn. You cannot name another position that is more valuable than that center play. And you just can't just put anybody into the mix and thinking that you're going to have a suitable team. What I'm saying is repetition, reps out there counts, and it speaks volumes, because the center touches the ball 100% of the time. There's nobody that's going to touch the ball more than a center. So I do know a lot of people just like to look over the offensive lineman or the offensive tackle, what have you, whoever you want to look at, the offensive guard or whatever. Everybody like to look over those guys, but they are the valuable piece to this whole operation. Those who played football, those who played down in the trenches know how valuable the center is. Those who just look at the football casually, they would never understand the nuances that counts that goes on when you're talking about the center play. But neither here nor there. We're going to listen to 105.3 The Fan and how they go over this whole situation.
With Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it is he said he doesn't know, and his doctors can't tell him a timetable for his return to the NFL. Joining us right now from Denver is Mark Schlereth. He's on Schlereth and Evans, the local Denver morning show, 104.3 The Fan up there in Denver. Mark, how's it going today, man?
It's going really well, man. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, we really appreciate you joining us, especially with these kind of conditions. Now, one of our fan texters texted in and said, hey, Mark Schlereth had Guillain-Barré syndrome, and did a quick search, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, this is true. I got to ask and find out more about this, and now here we have you. At what point first off, what is Travis Frederick going through emotionally, considering you went through this before?
I tell you, once I finally got diagnosed with something, it was actually a relief because I was playing so poorly. I played through the first half of the 93 season, and I was playing so poorly, it was almost as though I had forgotten how to play football. And, I was coming off a couple of Pro Bowl seasons, so I was like, what is going on? As the signal from my brain is being interrupted as it travels through my body to my extremities. And so I'd be blocking a guy, and all of a sudden I'd be on the ground, and I don't know what happened. And so it was actually somewhat of a relief, but I was very, very sick for a very long time. And, there are treatments now that are available, and I've worked with people here in Denver, and I've gone and visited people here in Denver that are available now that weren't available when I was playing. And so it was very scary, but like I said, it was a relief to know that there was something actually wrong with me. And then I got into the, just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I literally lost most of the feeling, all the feeling in my legs and arms from about my knees down and my elbows down for the better part of 6 months.
I'm going to pause it here, man. That is some frightening information, but it's like a bittersweet because Mark, he later on plays and he wins about 2 Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos. So he's talking about the earlier part of his career. It's frightening to know that, hey, all of a sudden I'm losing strength. All of a sudden I cannot block the person that's in front of me. All of a sudden I'm tired. So what he's talking about is that there's still hope when there's still possibility. And with that being said, when you can have that type of when you can see somebody else going through something, sometimes you can relate that to yourself and your struggles, and you can say, guess what? I can overcome this. Because when there's hope in the future, there's power in the presence, and not just of the mind, of the temperament, of the way you see things. So now that there's hope, guys, there is hope. There's possibilities. There's power right now in the presence of the mind of what Travis Frederick can become. Because one thing I did know that Mark Schlereth, I think that's how you say his man's last name. He said that with even being hurt and injured, there's now better technology, better doctors out there who can recognize the situation, and maybe the heal time can be faster. And no two bodies are the same. So hopefully Travis Frederick can be healed sooner and get out there on the field. But let's listen to more of the interview. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Just a quick shout out to my Facebook panel. Shout out to Jace Smith, Chris Cantu, Kerry Teagle again, and Jamal Anderson, the real deal Holyfield. Shout out to you. And then also on the chat box, Matt, shout out to you, S, and Mike too as well, Mitch, Jonathan Cook, Andrew Castillo again, and also Leon Felton and Henry. Shout out to you guys, man. Let's listen back to this.
And when I returned to play, I went from 295 down to about 235.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, I was just really sick for a very long time. If I walked up the stairs to my bedroom, I had to lay down for 2 hours.
Wow.
No energy, no strength. And it was a solid year of recovery before I started getting my strength to where I was playing in 94, but it was well into weeks 10, 11, 12 before I started feeling like I was getting like my natural strength back. So, and even when I went to camp in the beginning of 94, I still had a couple of toes that I had no feeling in. So it was a very long recovery. Like I said, I was very sick for a very long time. And really thought my career was going to come to an end. Many people said I'd never play again. There were a lot of articles written back in the day about how it was going to be, almost impossible to come back from this. So, the medical advancements are far greater now. That was what 93 was 20 some odd years ago or whatever it was, 25 years ago. I'm not great at math, guys.
No, you nailed it.
Did I?
Yeah, you got it.
Not my strong suit, but yeah, very, very scary when I heard it. Obviously, I reached out on Twitter and I called your PR department, Richie Dalrymple, who is just very gracious to me and is going to connect me with Travis. Just to kind of walk him through kind of my experience, and obviously it's different today than it was then. But just to try and encourage him that with the treatments there are and with time, he'll be back to being himself once again. It's just going to take a little bit of time. He's going to have to be patient.
All right, guys, y'all listening in to Mark Slav, two-time Pro Bowl. I hear you guys saying, who's speaking? That's Mark Slav of Denver Broncos, two-time Pro Bowler, 2 times, I believe, NFL championship winner, Super Bowl winner. So he's talking about the process of going through the same type of injury or disease of what Travis Frederick is going through, and he reached out to Rich Dalrymple. I think that's how you say this man's name, and he wanted to talk personally to Travis and let him know, to give him a word of encouragement, and something about encouraging one another, pushing one another, and letting someone else know that you've been down through that path. There's people right now that's in the chat box, and there's people over there on the Facebook side of things too, who went through a situation, whether it be financial, whether it be health, whether it be school and grades. You go through something, you shake it off and stand on top of it. You become a bigger and better, stronger person. And then also when you spread that story, when you talk about those situations and you let people know what's going on, it helps the next person. That's what we're here for. We all here to help one another. And that's basically what Mark Slav is saying. He's saying that he went through the same situation about 20 some odd years ago, and he was able to overcome. Now, the thing that the ultimate thing that he talked about in this piece was the fact that it took him a year, and then it took him at least I guess you can say a year and a half. So it took him 2 seasons basically to overcome this illness, and he was able to overcome it, get everything back to grace, still become a Pro Bowl offensive guard or what have you, and still able to win ultimately 2 Super Bowls, I believe, in 1998 and 1999 with the Denver Broncos. So if this story ends the same way with Travis Frederick, I will be jumping for joy. You guys will see me running around with my shirt off over here. But let's tune back into what they have to say. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in to the nation.
Talking with Mark Schlereth right here on 105.3 The Fan. Now, speaking of your experience, you talked about the struggles with energy, the struggles with numbness, and we're reading up about this disease as fast as we can. Was there ever a time where you feared, not for football, but, like for the ability to walk or the ability to live your normal life like you had before?
Yeah, it was scary. There was a couple scary nights when I was in the hospital, and at that point, there was no diagnosis for Guillain-Barré syndrome. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they went through a process of elimination. So I spent over a week in the hospital, and I mean, it was miserable. I was doing spinal taps where they were draining spinal fluid, which if you've never had it, it's excruciating. I was doing nerve conduction studies down in the basement where they would shock me. Wow. To measure the treatment, measure how fast the shock would travel through my extremities. So I'm literally getting shocked in the basement. It's something like out of some Jack Nicholson movie. I mean, it was.
Are you sure you were going to a legitimate doctor? I have questions about that.
Yeah, but that's what they did. I mean, I went through all kinds of CAT scans and everything else. They were afraid I had a brain tumor and. So process of elimination, they just ended up eliminating all these things. But I spent a legitimate week in the Arlington hospital. So, yeah, it was a legit hospital. Unless after they took me all the way down into the basement, they took me through some private government, testing facility where they just wanted to shock me.
Got to cover your tracks. Cover your tracks.
Yeah.
We're talking with Mark Schlereth right now on the KNC Masterpiece on the home of the Dallas Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan. Now, the other part of it, the other side of it is, there's a group of guys in that locker room that Travis Frederick, he runs that offensive line.
He does.
There's a group of guys in that locker room that are looking forward to a big season. Is this the kind of thing where a locker room is supportive? Do they kind of cast you off on the side and don't look at it and we move on? What's your experience with that part of it?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you guys are going to kick off and nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And so, the hardest part about being hurt is you feel like a pariah. You're not part of it. Whether you're hurt or whether you're sick, you're just not part of it anymore. And, we used to jokingly say when somebody would get hurt, that dude is dead. Like, he's dead. There's nothing he can do for us. So we move forward. And you miss them. You miss the camaraderie. You miss all that stuff. But you still got to go out and perform. That's your job. You're a professional football player. And like I said, every team's going to have injuries. Every team's going to have things that happen to them over the course of a season that aren't good. And it's how you respond to those things and how you play through those things. And, there's no telling. I mean, there's mild cases of this where he may be able to come back this season. I mean, at this point,
we hope
I know they've given him a couple of treatments. But at this point, you just don't know. You just have to let your body go through kind of the process. And like I said, it could be short-lived. He could gain his strength back. He could come back in a few weeks and feel great. And
that's what we hope
it
for.
could get to the point where it's a much longer process than that. I have no idea. I do know, like I said, that the treatments for this are vastly improved from when I had it. And after I had it, like, I didn't know they do nowadays, and I don't know what he had, but nowadays they do these blood transfusions and
all right, so just basically what he's saying, that the whole collective thing of what he's talking about is that the treatment that he had 20 some odd years ago, it took about that amount of time. It took him about a year and a half. Now he said it can be anywhere from 2 weeks. It could be anywhere from 4 months or more beyond. So the thing is with this all together, guys, if we can just have a focused will, mind, and everything can get together health wise, and hopefully the technology and everything else can gel together, get together, and things can go in the right direction. Outside of that, moving forward from this, the path of this whole team goes through Ezekiel Elliott now. I still say before the season started, I said we must focus and get this core together. Thank God for Joe Looney playing in this positioning. Hopefully Joe Looney can step it up. But I really think, I'm going to go back to this, I really think that Dak Prescott this Sunday still need to be in that lineup to get those reps from Looney, because that position is so valuable. The center exchange to the quarterback, the snap as far as the shotgun. We remember Andre Gerard, I think that's how you say that's man's name. He threw the snap over Tony Romo's head, and we knew that he used to fumble the snap all the time too. And so those are things that we all prayed to the high heavens and said, thank God that Andre Gerard is no longer on his team. So it's because now Tony Romo, I'm going back for those who don't remember, now Tony Romo can get the ball in his hand without going through the extra nuances. So if Ezekiel Elliott can push this team and get 5 to maybe 6 yards, not saying per carry, but if he can average that will be a plus. But if we can get to 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1 type of distance, then that will be better for this offense. I think that even with Scott Linehan, I think his playbook is very vast when it comes to large and vast when it comes to like 3rd and short distance. Now, when it was like last year, 3rd and long and 3rd and forever, the creativity of the plays just wasn't there. And then also on top of that, Dak Prescott, he was still learning and growing through the system, not trying to make an excuse for him. But we saw when the offensive line went down a little bit, they stopped averaging 28 points a game. So I'm not saying that without Travis Frederick that this team cannot average those amount of points. But what I'm saying is that somehow, some way, we have to build that continuity. We have to build that rapport with the center to the quarterback in a live game when people are being able to blitz you, have pressure up front, because this is a good test right here. Cardinals are not sus with their front four. I think that the Cardinals will be a great test, because think about this. The Panthers, their defense, their front four, their linebacking core are legit too. So I don't want us trying to learn as we go, using the term building the plane while it's in the air and trying to put the wheels on the plane while it's in air before we land. No, I do not like that philosophy. I think that if you're prepared, you'll be better for the test, and you'll be better for whatever outcome that may be there. Shout out to Save Prime Time. Thank you for joining in. Kevin Beck, shout out to you on the chat box. Cowboys fan, 1988, and he gets hurt, and this is what practice is, and it is so far. Don't get a lot of players every preseason snap. Yeah, so I forgot the tail end of that. I'm on the tail end of that conversation. But over here on the Facebook panel, shout out to Michael Smith. He's a soldier. Steve Morris, he said, what's going on? Everything is going on right now. Shout out to you for joining in and tuning in to the nation. It's always a plus of reading over you guys' comments. Shout out to you too as well, Robert Holmes, and also Keith Woody. Shout out to you. Who else plays center anyways? It's going to be Looney. And they picked up somebody. I forgot his name. They picked him up. I think he went to San Diego State. I didn't get a chance to read over his profile. Not a lot of film out there for me to look at. But I think the team is now like in not panic mode, but right now at evaluation mode. They saying to themselves, okay, we were solid at this position before. Now all of a sudden, now we kind of thin at this position. So we got to go out and scout players to get people going. Yeah, Buck, Law Nation stand up. Yes, all day we got to stand up, man. So appreciate everybody for tuning in to the show. Not a long show at all. I got to actually get ready to roll on out. But I just want to be able to just tell you guys, stay focused. The season is right around the corner. And this weekend, we should look at the safety play out there. That's the big question mark that we have also. And also the defensive tackles, the defensive interior of our defense. I think our linebacker core played pretty well throughout the entire preseason. I like the way Jalen Smith. I love the way Joe Thomas is playing. Shout out to the Thomas too as well. And I love the way that they resting Sean Lee so that he can give the max amount of time when he come out through the season. Because we play so much nickel anyhow. And I do know that I said before, nickel, when we line up nickel, because I had somebody to tell me, like, no, Law, nickel is not just with two linebackers. It's more so with 5 DBs. When the Cowboys play nickel, they have 5 DBs out there. Or sometimes they will sling in an extra. They go into the dime package depending on the down and out distance. But they mostly, with the Cowboys operation when they run their nickel, is 5 DBs, 2 linebackers. And now we can see the flexibility of what Joe Thomas can do, the rotational piece. He can play inside and out. And we can have those mixtures of just resting Sean Lee and expanding his career for this year. And hopefully he does not have one of those hamstring injuries. I'm gonna knock on wood, and we can get things going. With that being said, a few more shout outs before I run. DeMarcus008, we're in conscious tweak stage. Hey, scared money make no money, right? That's what it goes like, man. Steve Morris, shout out to you again. Jace Smith, what's up? Thank you for the encouragement. Yes, we are here to uplift. And like I said, when there's hope in the future, there's power in the present, not just in the mind. Hopefully, with that being said, Travis Frederick can listen to what Mark Schlereth had to say, and everybody gets together and pump this thing up. And we just don't know how the technology may be so far advanced from 20 years from now. Well, it was 20 years ago when Mark was going through this situation. Hopefully now, that the technology is there where he can take a few pills, do a few push-ups and get things going, right? That's the optimistic side of me, right? Buddy, what's going on, man? Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Law, did you hear about Mark Holmes? Yeah, I spoke of that. We just have to reach out for Mark Holmes. I think he's on his son channel, Mark Anthony Holmes, or Mark Holmes. What's his name? His son's name is... I forgot his son's name, but he's on his page. I think it's Mark Anthony Fitness or something like that. He's on his page. Go check out his page, and he's going to be there, whereas you can listen to his report and hopefully we can just. I'm saying it right now that Mark Holmes, he's going to win this appeal, and we're going to speak favor into this man's life, and his channel is going to be back up and running, and we all are going to hear the Joe Boo Sports Report. And we're going to get things. Michael Anthony Fitness. I apologize, Michael. Michael Anthony Fitness, go to his page. You can hear Mark Holmes from there. He's going to give you guys some insights of the channel. I have strong faith, hope, and confidence that he will win the appeal and his YouTube channel will be back up. That's all the time I have for today. I really thank you guys for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the bass. Salute. I'm out. Let's jam on out to this music, man. Yeah.